We missed it.
Oh wow, that's a really close up.
Is it showing like the dirt on my face? Like
No.
through my pores? Can you see that?
I'm sure that'd be really close.
That'd be
Maybe like, you'd see like this spot.
That'd actually have to be like through a microscope.
Yeah,
That is not a
I
microscope.
think you can do that. I don't think it's that hard.
Don't mistake that for a microscope, Mac.
I did.
I really want a telescope. That'd be awesome.
Why can't I used to have a telescope?
You were gonna get one?
No, I used to have one.
You used to have one? What happened? You saw it?
Is it time?
Well,
Yeah.
not gonna do it.
We did. And then.
Wait, a telescope is what like at a star.
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah, I used to have one and it'd sit in my window and I'd be like,
When you were like 5, right? It was this tiny, right?
no, like it was like,
It's a possibility.
it was pretty legit.
Oh, okay.
I was like,
Do you like gel nail?
Okay, are we ready?
Whenever people have gel nails, I always have.
I know, they feel like so smooth.
I like
Well,
we're missing one. Yeah, because I do this all the time.
Word of the day on this 17th
What?
day of
Yeah, I know. I
September.
put a card for at the front of that, so we can sign tomorrow.
You guys are so soft.
What?
You're so soft. Your mom.
Actually, I do have money. I can.
Let's see.
Just give him the money that's his best dad. It's a good thing.
I can have that one every year.
No, I thought it was bad. I was really offended by that, actually. How dare you say that? I thought you said soft at first, that's why I looked at you like that. You're very soft. Alright, that's new. Haven't heard that before.
Mendacious.
So, no,
Adjective. Having a lying false character. How appropriate for the book. The mendacious content of the tabloid magazines is at least entertaining.
done now.
Yes, that's what that A means.
Uh-huh.
It helps that we have like a dress down day every other day this week. It makes it all exciting.
Wait, is that just gonna be this?
Helps it-
Today's
helps
a
it we have
ballet
what?
dress down day. We had ballet dress down
Yes.
on Monday, and then Wednesday we have school.
I don't really care.
Friday.
Friday, right? This
This
Friday?
Friday?
Yeah,
Okay.
Friday is a dress down day for academics,
If-
if you
You bring
bring
this in
white.
place.
Yeah.
No matter what, yeah.
I know, I need to like.
What? Shh, guys, what?
Does it matter like what kind, I don't know how that works, like if somebody's.
It's just you wear normal clothes.
Well, no, I mean
No.
like
Oh.
the disinfectant wipes, I don't wanna bring anything like scented.
Oh, I don't
No,
think
they
it
don't
matters.
work.
Lysol, Clorox,
Yeah.
what do you prefer?
Well, I mean,
Okay, well,
basically we just do it so like we can like disinfect the desktops.
Yeah, I mean like I have to
and
do it, but I know somebody else does it too. So,
Yeah.
like disinfects the tables.
Like,
I just don't want anybody to like have swollen hands for the rest of the
right.
Yeah.
I don't know
You
what
want that 'cause it
What is
kills
this,
off
CVS,
fluid.
Walgreens, this brand?
That's Walgreens.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't believe we've run into an issue.
Do you ever get that thing where you like wipe it all down and then it like the scent sticks with your hands for like
Yes,
hours
it's really
after?
annoying.
Yeah, it's terrible. And I'm
And you're trying to
touch
eat
it and
food.
like push up my glasses.
Okay, let's go ahead and get started here. I printed off for you, who are we missing besides Maddie?
Lauren.
Oh, that's right.
Sorry, the camera.
Yes, hi Lauren. I'm passing out SAT dates, so be sure to ask for one when you get back, Lauren.
Wait, thank you.
Here you go. This is just FYI for your information. SAT registration dates and deadlines for this entire year through June 6th. The first column down are the test dates. The second column just tells you what they're testing. And then the third column is when you have to register by, and that's usually a month before the test. And if you miss that date, of course, they'll charge you a late fee if you, because there are lots of people who wait till the last minute to take it. And, or they're on standby. I don't know if you've ever done that before, where you go, and just in case someone doesn't show up, you might have a chance of getting a seat. Yeah.
Do you have like an ACT, like?
I can print off an ACT one, yes ma'am, I will do that.
For the October 11th one, Comstead is not administering it.
Okay,
Just let you know.
yeah, and you've already missed the registration deadline anyway for that one.
Yep.
That was the 12th. So, if you're, you know,
That's the one.
you can plan ahead here and shoot for one of these dates. Be careful in the winter. Holly ran into this last year. If you have a bad winter,
They cancel it.
sometimes they'll cancel it and move it to, I mean, you'll either get your money back or they'll move it.
They moved it twice.
Yeah.
I went to the school again, it was canceled
Yeah.
because of the snow, and then went again, and it was,
And then they move it to a time when you can't do it. I mean, if you have a performance, you know, I don't know. So be careful of that, but, and all signs indicate we'll probably have another winter like we've had before. That's what everybody's saying all over Facebook, who knows? But, anyway, there you go, file that.
Facebook knows.
what has the world come to when we trust Facebook for the weather?
Well, no, I mean, there are
I know,
weather
it's just funny.
things on there that say
Yeah.
that. Put this on your fridge or whatever,
I don't
just
know.
so you, but I will print you an ACT one as well.
And the PS.
And,
Wait, the PSAT's on the 15th, right?
Yeah, October 15th. As far as places where they are, you can get on collegeboard.com and find that out. Southside is a huge SAT test taking site, as is Homestead, and probably Carroll, I imagine, because the bigger the school, the more money they make. And when I taught at Southside, they paid the teachers $100 to administer it, so a bunch of us would do it because, you know, Saturday morning, if you wanted to get there early and go give a little big long test. $100 sounds like a lot, but by the time you're there from like 7:30 to noon, you know, you're like, was it really worth it? But anyway, there you go. Okay, I wanted to show you Crash Course. Most of you are familiar with Crash Course. If you are not, it's awesome. It's John Green who wrote Fault in Our Stars. He and his brother Hank do Crash Course. John does literature and his brother Hank does the sciences. I don't know if he's made an Animal Farm one, because I looked and you would think he would have, because it's such a popular book, but I couldn't, it didn't immediately pop up, so maybe we will find it for tomorrow. But he's very funny and kind of gives you the synopsis of the book in a humorous, educational way. So today we will discuss the end. The last chapter.
We were in chapter 10?
Yeah.
Okay, and that was the last one. I wasn't keeping track about like the Roman
Oh,
numerals.
okay.
I was just
Okay. Okay, I was like, am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say my name.
I just kept going. I didn't really pay attention to
Right.
which chapter it was.
Okay, so what happened? Years passed. The seasons came and went. Paige?
Most of the animals at that point on the farm don't remember the old days with Jones because they weren't alive for it. And like all of the animals that started out, well, a lot of the animals that started at the beginning of the book are dead now. Basically, to move through it quickly, like by the end of it, the pigs are having people over, and at one point, Squealer who's very fat now, takes a bunch of the sheep, all the sheep out to an old pasture where supposedly teaching them a new song, which turned out to be 4 legs good, 2 legs better, because all the pigs walk out of the house in procession wearing clothes and standing on their 2 feet, and so they end up playing cards and like making deals and being all happy with the farmers and stuff, and the commandments get changed to all animals are equal except some are more equal than others.
An ironic twist. Marie?
I feel like the most shocking part was when he changed the name from Animal Farm back to Manor Farm. Like, that was like the most shocking moment of the book, because I didn't expect that to happen, because they still were like, oh, we're still run by animals, so we'll still call it Animal Farm. But then he changed it, and he's basically the company, even though he still looks like that.
Mm-hmm. He's turned into what he hated.
And, like the end where it's like they looked from man to pig to man, they couldn't tell the difference anymore.
I wonder if this is where that saying comes from, pig. You know, or if it's Orwellian. in its roots.
With the ending of the book, I almost felt like it was abrupt. Kind of like when you write an essay and it's like, oh, this is good, but you get to the conclusion, it's like, I feel like I've said everything I need to say, I don't really know how to like wrap this up nicely. Like, that's kind of how I felt at the end of the book, was like, it wasn't really wrapped up, you were just kind of like, oh, he just kind of threw a bunch of it at you, and there it is, but, like, obviously it's well, and he knew what he was doing, and I'm sure it was purposeful the way he did it. Just because of the way the rest of the book was written, I was expecting a little bit, I don't know, more than that, more of a drawn out ending.
Aaron?
I kind of feel like it was maybe like kind of left for the reader's imagination to think what would happen. Like it basically just says the animals were looking at both sides, not knowing which the one side from the other, and it seemed like he kind of left it maybe like cliffhanger like thing, like
Okay.
what's gonna happen after, what's gonna happen between these as the years continue.
What disturbs me is that chapter 10 starts with years past, meaning they had lots of years like this. And it's just sad. I was trying to think of a better adjective, but that really describes it. And when chapter 9 ended, they were getting more whiskey delivered. And then they just lived like that under their rule. Muriel was dead, Bluebell, Jessie, and Pincher were dead. Jones too was dead.
I lived in part of the country.
Snowball was forgotten, Boxer was forgotten, except by the few who had known him. Clover was an old stout mare now, stiff in the joints, with a tendency to rheumy eyes. She was 2 years past retiring age. It's like, Squealer was so fat, he could with difficulty see out of his eyes. Napoleon was now a mature boar of 24 stone. Only old Benjamin was much the same as ever. And since Boxer's death, he was sadder than usual. I think, how did the whole experience affect the morale of the animals? You know what I mean by morale? How did that affect the morale of the animals on the farm?
Just that entire thing of more and more freedom being taken away and them being convinced that that was okay. It just, each time it would happen, there would be less of a fight put up, because it just came to be expected.
You have no fight left in you when you're consistently beaten down, right? Whether it's your ideas or physically beaten down, you know, mentally, physically, emotionally. You just have no more hope, no more fight left in you.
But you said, what it says about Snowball being forgotten, that's another thing that he doesn't really wrap up. I mean, what happened to Snowball?
That's definitely for the readers to imagine. What do you think happened to him?
I don't really care what happened to him, honestly.
Okay,
Like,
I care.
he would have turned out the same as Napoleon, in my opinion,
okay,
so.
interesting. Yeah, he forgot about them,
That's true.
you know? He ran away from them, whether
I
it was
think
to
he got
save
it better than the rest of the animals.
He didn't bother to take anybody with him.
I don't think he did it in the right way,
Right.
but I think he got out when he could, honestly.
Yeah. Aaron?
The thing that was really annoying me throughout the whole book, but especially at the end, like Benjamin remembered everything and he knew what was going on, but he just didn't say anything until Boxer got involved. And it's a little bit annoying to me because I feel like he's the people, like he's sort of representing the people where it's like, it doesn't affect me, so why should I care?
Right.
But it's like, it affects, and eventually it does affect you because it affected him through Boxer. But he, at that point, it was almost too late to do anything.
It's kind of what we talked about before, you know, when things go on in society, you know, if it doesn't affect us personally or affect someone we know, then we don't really worry about it, even if it happens on a different side of town. You know, I live on the south side of town. Maria and I are representing the south side of town, and there's some animosity between, you know, the north side of town and the south side of town, and a lot of crime gets reported on the south side of town, and even if some things happen on the north side of town, some of the north side people say, oh, well, the south side people came out here and did it. You know, it was just funny that even though we're in the same town, even in my own side of town, if there's a crime like 2 blocks away, my husband will say, oh, that's 2 blocks away, and I'm like, how close does it have to be, Andrew, for it to, you know, get your feathers ruffled? Because he's so laid back, and you know, oh, well, those gunshots were fired 2 blocks away. I'm like, okay, and until it affects you, or I guess until it's in your yard, you never know how you're going to react. It's like going back to Kill a Mockingbird. You never really know what to do. Walk a mile in someone else's shoes, as Atticus Finch said, right? And he's so right. It's so easy for us to sit back and judge, oh, I think they should have handled it this way, oh, I would have done that. And that's easy to do, be the, you know, couch quarterback, as they say. Well, I would have done this, and you don't know until it affects you. And you're right, Aaron, when it started affecting the horses, or his kind, then he was starting to get involved. And that's how a lot of people are with political issues. You know, oh, that's going on in Palestine, it's not going to affect me. Or, oh, that's going on in, you know, that's the Muslims, you know, I'm a Christian, that doesn't affect me. But, you know, when do you speak up? You know, when do you draw your line in the sand? I think we talked about this last year at some point. If you're walking down the hall and you see someone being bullied, do you totally put your blinders on and walk by? Or do you get involved? At what point do you say, you know, something needs to be done here? You know, it's happening in the NFL. They've had a rough couple weeks with the Ray Rice issue beating his wife, and the NFL finally got involved, and they caught it on camera in the elevator. And then just yesterday, one of the Vikings pretty much beat his son with a tree branch, his 4-year-old son. I don't know if you heard about that.
I didn't.
And
What the heck?
so now they're getting involved, and he's losing a lot of sponsorships, like FedEx and big sponsorships, because they don't want to represent someone. So they're all getting involved and saying, you can't do that. You can't beat your child, you can't beat your wife and still play football, because, you know, for us, because you're a role model. And you're representing our company. And we don't want to lose business. We don't want people to say, oh, I'm not going to send my packages with FedEx because they sponsored these wife beaters, these child beaters, right? So they are drawing their line in the sand. And you're right. Benjamin didn't do that, but why? Maybe he felt like he wouldn't be supported. Maybe he felt like he would be murdered, right?
I mean, like, from Benjamin's point of view, like, throughout the entire book, he stayed the same because he didn't let the whole, like, rise of the rebellion, like, change him, because I think in the long run he saw that it probably would have, like, been corrupt anyway, and he was right. And so I feel like the reason why he didn't even say anything is because he knows he can't really do anything, and if something was done, it would just turn out the same way again.
Was he a strong person or a weak person?
I think he was weak.
Okay.
I'm with Aaron, it frustrates me, like, I don't care if he knew that it wasn't gonna work out, I think he still should have said something.
It's like the book somebody read, She Said Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right? She had a gun to her head and she still said, I believe in God, when they shot her anyway. So, you know, she died being true to herself, being true to her faith. Who knows if she had not said that, if they would have let her live? Who knows?
I doubt
Probably
it.
not.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So at least she died herself.
And with, like, standing up for what she
Right.
believes in.
Benjamin could have done that. Some might say he was strong because he didn't let anything affect him. There's that argument.
Honestly, I really liked him. I feel like he was, after Bhakti, he was following us everything.
He was a leader, and you hope that, I mean, people would have listened to him, or the other animals. We often call them people just because, right, they take those roles. Do you think he had wished he got in Paige?
Well, I was gonna say, like, with his character, I don't, like, not like his character. And that's the same thing with people is, like, all of us have flaws because we're born that way. With him, like, I agree, I think he could have been a good leader. I think he had a lot of wisdom, and the animals would listen when he spoke. I just think he should have used that power to his advantage to help with the other animals instead of just keeping it to himself.
What's that saying? Those who, when you have a lot, you should give a lot. In other words, I don't know, I messed up a beautiful quote, but, you know, like if you,
Got your point across.
yeah, the gist of it is, you know, an example is if you have a lot of money, you're supposed to share it. If you have a lot of something, you share it. And he had a lot of wisdom and maybe could have made a difference. It's easy to say in hindsight, you know, what should have been done. But the whole event, the whole, from beginning to end, affected all the animals differently, except him. He seemed to stay the same. Is that a sign of strong character? You know, say you're in an extremely tough ballet practice and things just keep getting thrown at you. Like, corrections, that's what you guys call it, right? People keep coming by and correcting you and you don't cry, you just take it and you become tougher and tougher and tougher. Does that make you strong because you're taking it? Or does that make you weak because you're not saying anything?
In ballet, that would be
Strong, right. Probably
I
makes
feel
you
like it depends on the situation,
Yeah.
but with Benjamin, yeah, like Paige and what they were saying, like, you know, it's frustrating because he could have said something and possibly there could have been something that happened where it didn't have to come to this extent. But since he didn't say anything, it went this far and it's still going on in the bog.
Right, Marie?
I feel like even if he had said something, the other animals were so blinded by what Napoleon was saying that they wouldn't have listened. And
Right.
I mean, he
probably
did
would
say
have gotten
something.
executed early on for speaking against Napoleon.
That's what I wonder. If he had stood up, how many people would have stood with him? You know, are you with me kind of thing?
I think Clover would have.
Yeah.
I feel like Clover and possibly Fox.
You know,
Fox
they
would have
say-
needed some encouragement,
Yeah.
but I think he would have gotten there eventually.
They say there's strength in numbers, but you hope that you don't do it alone, right? It's like, if you're gonna stand up for what's right, then you hope other people will too, and back you up, and then eventually, you've got this mass of people to fight the injustice that's going on. But he didn't even try.
With having animals like Boxer and Clover, like they're big horses, they could take out the pigs if they wanted to. Like that's something I thought about through the book was like they had the strength to like take the pigs. The pigs aren't that strong, they're fat. So it's
And
like
they're little,
Yeah.
horses are big.
it's just all mind games that
So,
they play.
yeah, so what does that,
Almost crushed one of those dogs.
exactly. So what does that say about the horses? And the working class people?
Well, I mean, there's a reason why the pigs make them work so hard, because like, I think that the pigs actually understood that obviously Boxer had like the strength of like 3 more horses, he could have taken them, but with the power of manipulation, it was easy to just make him follow and to distract him with the windmill. That was a big distraction, especially on the whole part of the farm, because even when it was knocked down, they kept working, and it made them weak. Like, because when you're so exhausted, who wants to put up a rebellion?
And maybe that was part of Napoleon's plan. I'll keep my constituents weak and tired and they won't fight me. You know, I'll work them to death. Plus, it seems people are scared of large animals, but they're not really the issue. It's the small, like dogs, for example, right? Small, little yippy dogs, you know, ankle biters as they call them. I have a big dog and a little dog, and I've seen this from people walking by my house. You know, when my little Yorkie runs after people, I just saw a man run across the road the other night because Caesar ran down to the edge to do his business. and there was a guy walking by my house and he just took off. I'm like, seriously, he's 9 pounds of fury, I don't think he's, and then my golden retriever, you know, she has a mean bark, but she's, you know, a golden retriever, right? She's sweet, but it's the Napoleon complex, like we talked about before. The pigs didn't have the height or the power, so they used their mind, the mind games. What else? Aaron?
I keep wondering what it may have been like had Snowball come back to the farm earlier, like
Mhm.
after he'd been run off. Maybe coming back like maybe after the entire execution massacre, or maybe another time.
Mm-hmm.
Too many of them hated him, like
Yeah,
hated him,
they
like
would've just
he would have been
gone right
ostracized if he
Just
came back
gonna
again.
kill him.
So it would have made no sense, and he probably knew that.
There are so many alternate endings that you could, and maybe that could be one of your writing assignments if you wanted to write an alternate ending. I think that would probably be appropriate and interesting as well. If you had to end it differently, did you have any page?
Okay, I know like the other day I brought up how they had that gun sitting there, and like
Uh-huh.
I really expected them to use it to kill someone, like they never did. And with Boxer's death, like I thought that would have caused a little bit more of an uproar. Like I thought that was something that maybe Squealer wouldn't have been able to get them to, like, I don't know.
Justify.
Yeah, I thought with Boxer's death, it could have been more of like a sacrificial death where like Boxer dies in order that the farm would be able to like get back up on its feet again. So I thought maybe like after Boxer being dead, with Benjamin explaining everything, one of the animals, whether it be Benjamin or someone else, would be like, okay, that's too far. And I thought they would have formed some alliance and like shot Napoleon with the gun
Right.
that they had there.
It's like, okay, you killed Boxer, that's
Because I
the
feel like
last
Boxer's death
straw,
was for
right? It's
nothing.
like, how could you kill this well-loved, well-respected part of our farm and expect us to sit by and take it, Renee?
I think that's the point that George Orwell is trying to get across though, because if you see like with all these countries and their government power, they do so much, even to their own people, and, you know, you have to ask yourself, when is enough enough? And it just goes so far and people just let it happen. I think that's the point he's trying to get across is, you know, even though like they did this injustice to Boxer, who was a hard worker, and the animals were like, oh God, that's wrong, you know, there was a little bit of uproar, and then Squealer covered it up, and then like, okay, alright, well, we feel better about that. They covered it up and they believed it, and you know, so that's the thing, it doesn't change when you're so manipulated and you have so much faith.
Right. Oh, I love you guys, you just have such good discussions. If you look at the copyright date in this, 1946, what had just happened? And Holocaust. And you hit the nail on the head there. It's like, how can so many people stand by and watch this happen?
We were brainwashed,
Right.
just like Hitler brainwashed
Well,
us.
and Hitler hid it so well,
Mhm.
you know. Yes, there were countries who knew before the Russians liberated all the Jews, but they were afraid, because that's how Hitler led, was by fear. And finally, it was like, this is enough. We've done enough to these people, and then Orwell wrote about it in a very interesting, clever way, right? I mean, this could easily be about the Holocaust and Hitler, easily.
That's what I thought.
Even though the pig's name is Napoleon, which makes you think of French Revolution, it still is very Hitler-esque.
It still fits like almost every situation though,
Yeah.
because that's the thing about history, it always repeats